What is up, you guys? Kogi here again, and I know you guys are all wondering what league starter I'm going to play in 3.17. And amongst all the variety out there on the YouTubes these days, you know, cough cough, explosive arrow, cough cough, fucking what is it, spectral helix. Holy shit, 2 playstyles I'm literally gonna freaking knock the fuck out because Jesus, they look so boring. Admittedly, they're both strong, okay? Just to get that out there, admittedly, they're very both strong builds. Explosive arrow especially, holy shit, I think is busted. I made a tree for a burning arrow to make it for ignite, and admittedly it did get nerfed for ignite like a while back. It lost that more multiplier for ignite, but either way, yeah, I figured something decent, you know, with good gear and everything, or like, you know, reasonable gear attainable. 1 million damage. I'm like, well, this is dog shit. Swap the same gear, same tree, just put explosive arrow. 27 million. Just casual 27 million times your damage. That's not busted at all. And nonetheless, the playstyle is a bit weird because you have to wait for the totem to then spawn, which takes totem placement speed, and it has an animation that you can't really like speed up, and then it has to shoot an arrow, and then the arrow has to wait a little bit for it to tick to then blow up, and that takes time. So it's kind of a 3-way party game, and I'm absolutely not going to play that, especially on top of the fact that it's also a meta build going around a lot these days. Second one is, of course, spectral helix. I did make a tree for that just because, out of curiosity, just for, you know, just to give you guys later on, with white wind, which is really cool with a lot of spell suppression, evasion, raider. It was a really cool build. But I did try spectral helix, and it's really not my thing. Holy shit, the clear feels horrendous. I'm probably going to switch that to a frostblaze raider, but I'll have both of them there for you guys to, you know, fuck around with in, you know, in the future, coming down closer to the league launch. But nonetheless, I want to give you guys what I decided to play, avoiding those 2 fucking builds, and something that's kind of being slept on right now. And ironically, it's a build that I did make 2 leagues ago, as before Archmage got absolutely shit on. It was Penance Brand Ignite. Beforehand, it was using Archmage, and it did very well, to the point where I killed the Feared, yes, the Feared, on literally the worst gear possible. I'm talking about a 6-link that is literally like a level 50 base with just life and chaos res, nothing else. Like, I'm talking like 80 life, crafted life. It's that bad, and it absolutely destroyed everything with agnostic and everything. But of course, Archmage got shit on. But you know, because I still have this character, it is a good template for me to, you know, completely reset. Thanks to other tree being changed, I got a full reset and just use the new skill tree on literally dog shit gear, because it means nothing to show you to showcase how busted Penance Brand Ignite actually still is. And a good reason to look at it is because they did get a massive buff. So let's get into that real quick. Before we move on, if you guys want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please leave a like on the video and or a comment / question down below. You know, I try to comment or answer as much as possible. League starts around the corner, very busy, you know, week, so I am doing a lot of videos, so please be mindful of that, but I'll try my best. Other than that, pop in community in the Discord as per usual. So if you guys want to hang out with the peeps, or, you know, ask a question that's more directly towards me and anybody else that's willing to help, you know, that's a good place to do it, and it's a good place for me to check out PUBs and things like that. So keep that in mind. Other than that, I do stream on Twitch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I will be, you know, streaming the league start with Penance Brand Ignite on Friday, because PUB is looking kind of clean, and I really want to see what it has to offer, considering the numbers, and despite the fact that it did get a buff, not despite, including the fact that I got a buff thanks to the 3.17, which we'll cover very soon. So let's get on with that. Now, before moving on to the actual character doing like a pretty high tier map with scuffed ass gear to show you how good the skill already is in the current state of the game, I want to go over how I scale this, and on top of that, the 3.17 changes. In 3.17, of course, because the buff that happened to spells and their base damage and the effectiveness of added damage, all that stuff affects base damage, and that's the damage that Ignite scales off of. So it advertently buffing those numbers buffs Ignite. So they brought it back down in order to make up for it. And, you know, not to completely destroy attacks that was relying on those ignites and didn't get a buff, they did buff those spells that or attacks that needed to help. And yeah, so you can see your ignite compensation damages, and they did buff Penance Brand. Now it says explosions now deal 90% more damage of elements per energy after the first previously was 60. Penance Brand, the way it works is that it gains energy the longer it's on the enemy. So you do want to scale cast speed and duration, because the longer it's on the enemy, right, the longer it has to, you know, take to 20. And then you want to get cast speed, because the more cast speed you have, the faster you'll get to 20. So you don't really need too much duration if you have enough cast speed, and you should really prioritize more cast speed, and that's what we do. Because there's also a focus mod that gives you like 36% cast speed for like 4 seconds, which is insane for things like this. Either way, I digress. Because you have that much energy now, or damage per energy, it seems like it got a massive buff. Because if you do the math, right? The way it works is that Penance Brand gains energy every time it ticks because of the cast speed. Once it hits 20 energy, you have to detach the brand in order for the explosion to come off, and that explosion deals the majority of the damage, right? In order for the explosion to happen, you got to detach the brand from the enemy, and the way that happens is kind of like either it runs out of duration, so it just fades, and then that way it detaches naturally, and then does the explosion. You can brand recall it, and that's what we mainly do, because by brand recalling it, you're forcefully removing it from the boss or the enemy, and it's mostly the boss, because with enemies, the mastery that we're gonna go over with real quick for clear, we'll do it for you. Let's say you're fighting one boss only. Penance Brand, you know, as it generates energy, you see it visually on the enemy. It starts glowing like bright blue, and because of that, right, because of that bright blue, you know, hey, it's maxed out. Time to brand recall and detonate. And that's kind of what I think of. Like, I love the playstyle. It's kind of like a detonate button, kind of like the mines, but without the horrible delay. You know, you cast your Penance Brand, it charges up really quickly, and I'll show you a way to speed this up in the skill tree and just playstyle in general. Once it starts going bright blue, you can press brand recall, you detonate it, and when you detonate it, you know, that's when the ignite happens, the explosion happens, and the ignite happens, and that's where the majority of the damage comes from. And then other than that, it would just have to detach naturally from the mastery, things like that. So basically, brand recall is your main source of like way of activating Penance Brand, but trust me, like it's a lot more easy to do in game. But you know, going back to the numbers, 60% more damage per energy at 20 energy, that's 1,200% more damage of elements. That's why it does so much damage. And now it's 90 times 20, which is 1,800. 1,800 minus 1,200, that's a 600% more damage buff. But keep this in mind, this is not just strictly, hey, add 600% more damage, because it's not 600% more damage at the level, at the 20 stage numbers, you know. It's basically 30% more damage per stage. So it's 30% multiplier at a lower number, and then at a slightly higher number, a slightly higher number, slightly higher number, and then at the end. It's not just 600% more damage added at the final number. Of course, that would scale massively and it'd be stupid. Some guy did the math. I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. He says it's only like a 5% buff. Someone recommended to me in Discord. He did it on an Excel sheet. I don't know if it's right or not. Assuming anything, Penance Brand for sure is staying where it's at right now. We're getting a slight buff or a decent buff, whatever. It's either staying the same or buff. And since we know right now it's already at 6 million with fucking all rares, like decent rares, we know that this is a very good league starter, and I can highly recommend it to you guys. That's kind of where we are now. So just going over the tree real quickly, you know, the way the Penance Brand kind of works, it is a lightning. It's a physical spell that is converted to half lightning. And we do convert the other portion to lightning because for some reason it just works out better that way for the damage, according to Heal B. I'm assuming it's something with a conversion, allowing the lightning damage to do more damage. And I think the scaling of the lightning helps with that too. I'm not quite sure. So either way, just so you know, when you apply ignites with lightning, you can scale damage using, you know, lightning damage, or scale ignite damage using lightning damage, even though the ignite itself is still fire. Kind of interesting. I like this idea. But basically, the first sense you're gonna pick up, and there's a leveling tree here, right? Just to go over the summary of it first. Is Shaper Flames allows all our damage to ignite, so we can abuse things like, you know, even at Zeri's Promise, that takes the physical and elemental damage portion of Penance Brand and converts it, not converts it, adds extra chaos damage to it, which adds base damage, which then scales off the ignite. So at Zeri's Promise, it becomes a really cheap, you know, 11% damage multi. And this is with the very nerfed fucking at Zeri's Promise. Imagine the old one. It was absolutely insane. You could even use things like Sin's Rebirth and Taste of Hate if you so desire. So I went with Zeri's Promise just because I need the Chaos Rest. Plain and simple. But you can take a Taste of Hate, but I do have a lot of armor anyway, so I don't think I need it. Right? And then the other portion is Shaper Storms. And Shaper Storms makes all our damage shock with a minimum 50% damage increase taken, which does affect Ignite. And you can scale this by getting a lot of increased effective damaging of lightning elements, or this mastery here. You know, if you don't get that one, you can get 40% increased effect of non-damaging elements. You know, here it says only a 4% increase, so I didn't take it. This is a better increase. But you can assume that all our damage is going to shock for at least 40 to 50% no matter the boss. And another way we scale this is this Mission of Faith. Mission of Faith is a timeless jewel. It's not that expensive, especially the one that only gives power purpose. But the one you really want is elemental damage and increased effect of non-damaging elements per 10 devotion. If you put it here, and we have 115 devotion, it gets 4% elemental per 10, and then the 3% effect per 10. So if we do 115 divided by 10, it's 11. 11 times 4, it's 44% elemental damage and 33% effective non-damaging elements. And then we get his power purpose, which I'll explain. Just defensive. Nothing crazy. It's kind of like minor, but I'll explain a little bit. That's pretty much it. We're just going to ignite through this, through shocks, right? You know, Mastermind and Discord getting that insane exposure and part of destruction for the AoE for the ignite proliferation and 30% more damage. And other than that, you know, we're just abusing, you know, not abusing, but getting a little bit of crit to help out with elemental overload, things like that. Even using a diamond flask to help that, help us with that. Getting a lot of auras, and then, to know, in order, well, before we get to the leveling stuff, we are also a mind over matter eldritch battery, and that's kind of how this works. Is that we're getting a lot of, you know, ES life nodes, you know, ES life nodes here, ES life nodes here. So we do have 4k life and 2000 energy shield. What ends up happening with the scenario is that eldritch battery makes energy shield protect our mana, and since mind over matter makes damage, a portion of the damage go to our mana. Because the energy is protecting it, it goes to the energy shield instead, and then the energy shield becomes our mana. So which means we can reserve all our mana, and that means we can run more auras. And a cool thing about this, because auras are percentage based and not, we're not using clarity or vitality, which is a number base, we can use power purpose, which converts 80% of that mana to twice that much armor. So if we take a, let's say we have 1000, you know, mana with this, now we have 200 mana, but because, you know, auras are percentage based, 20% of our mana is still 20% regardless of how much actual mana we have, if you follow what I'm saying. This is basically free 4000 armor, which is kind of neat. It's a cool combo, this whole scenario, and I really, really like it. The only real downside is because we're using Eldritch Battery for energy shield. Chaos damage kind of ignores mind over matter since it doesn't look at energy shield at all. You just go straight to your life. But, you know, that's why we focus on a little bit on Chaos Rise. On top of all that, for defenses, you know, since we have a lot of auras, we are running Determination, Defiance, and if you even want to run Malevolence, you can go ahead and even run Grace on top of it. But I have a lot of spell suppression already on gear, and that's kind of what you want to focus on. So you have 84% spell suppression, you know, 85% damage mitigation, you know, over like 6k actual like life between life and energy shield with mind over matter, and, you know, 21% chance we evade. It's kind of decent. So it's pretty freaking good. And then we do have, like, you know, recovery when you ignite an enemy and thing like that. And the cool thing that I want to, you know, tick up is the new skill gem that they added in the what do you call it, in the new basically patch. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is kind of interesting, and I want to see how it works with, where is it, as a skill tree, available, gem information. I want to see how this works with Eldritch Battery, because it says supported skills cost 233 mana. Now, since Eldritch Battery makes energy shield our mana, it's not kind of like Arcane Surge where it says you have to spend mana. It just says skills cost mana. And since things that cost mana with Eldritch Battery cannot be using, in theory, cannot use energy shield, this makes me think that Eldritch Battery, which can already run a fuckload of auras, can get a free aura because I have 2000 energy shield, which is my mana, quote unquote. And I can just spend 200 energy shield now to just get another free aura. And I can literally just put, you know, in this case, Malevolence. This is basically, you know, the test, you know, in one of my sockets. I can go back to my helmet, put Grace, take out Malevolence, and then put Malevolence with increased duration, and that Divine Blessing spends like, you know, 400 or 500 mana, whatever the case may be, or energy shields into Eldritch Battery, and get a free Malevolence for like 12-15 seconds. Kind of nasty. It's kind of nasty. I don't know if it works or not, but it's there. But if it doesn't work, you know, I'll probably leave Malevolence instead of Grace on your helmet, unless you want to be a defensive whore. It's up to you. But, you know, defenses are looking pretty freaking solid, and we focus on a lot of things like that. We even have for the crit chance. Crit chance is increased by chance to suppress, which is basically 80% crit chance for the Elemental Overload, and we do have a 30% crit, which is pretty decent at hitting, you know, the Elemental Overload. And it does pulse a little bit, so it does hit more often than just a single explosion. So now we got out of the way and how it scales and how, you know, how well it is. Let's go over leveling, right? While leveling, you see the tree just changed, so we didn't take a little bit of regrets. Instead of taking the right path, I wanted you to take the left path. The reason behind this is because I want you to go up here and pick up Runesmith as soon as possible, because you do need this brand mastery. Brand attached to a new enemy each time they activate, no more than 1.3 seconds. This allows Penance brand to move. Let me show the case that to you very, very quickly. And, you know, just Blood Aqueducts. I'm not going to go over the little map yet, but just so you can see how it works. Because Penance brand has to detach and then explode. Because of that mastery, they'll detach very often when it's another enemy, which makes them explode more often for smaller ignites, but it's enough to clear. So if you look here, You see how he just moves and just kills everything. So it'll literally just travel and travel and travel. Ignite Prolif will do his thing. And really, it's just like an instant ignite. You don't really have to worry about a delay. It's not kind of like... it's not like Explosive Arrow or anything like that, which makes the skill a lot more, you know, easy to play. So that's the importance of that mastery. You definitely want that as soon as possible because Penance Brand is an Act 3 skill, you can go ahead and just, you know, get all this damage and stuff like that, and then go left, get the life if you want to, and go left. And the cool thing is you do want Rune Binder. Now, Rune Binder allows you to have an extra brand attached to an enemy, and the reason behind this is because if you go PoE Penance Brand, I learned this when I first started playing Penance Brand and with the Archmage version. It says here a very important thing. It says here, energy stacks are accumulated per enemy and not per brand. So what this means, your goal, kind of like Explosive Arrow, is to try to get a 20 stacks or 20 energy as soon as possible and as quick as possible. Well, what ends up happening is that with one, let's say that you, every second, just for the sake of argument, you get 4 energy. So you would have to wait 5 seconds, right? And, you know, you can try to get as much cast speed in order to make that quicker, but let's just assume for the numbers, you know, you get 4 energy every second, so it'll take 5 seconds for 20 energy. But if the enemy has 2 brands, because the Rune Binder node allows you to have additional brand to an enemy, what ends up happening is that instead of having each brand having its own energy, so instead of being like, you know, after 1 second, this has, you know, 4 energy, and the other one's 4 energy, it actually combines because the enemy has the energy, not the brand itself. So if you have 2 brands on an enemy and they both tick, you gain double the energy. So basically, instead of having 4 after 1 second, you now have 8 energy, which basically, instead of it taking 5 seconds to get 20 energy, it takes 2.5. It takes a lot less than that. I'm just giving you the numbers. You get the point. So basically, double the brand means double the speed at getting the max ignite. So you do want that to help you, you know, just get as many brands as often as possible. And it's kind of neat because, you know, you can have more than just 2 brands on the floor. And if you're fighting like, you know, Uber Elder, you can put 2 brands on Elder, 2 brands on Uber Elder, detonate both of them. And they both burn. And it's really good. It's super fucking good for bossing. I highly recommend it. And since it's a brand build, you can just let it go and run on its own. So, yeah, that works marvelously. And then, of course, brand equity for more, you know, duration and things like that. And then Breath of Flames for the damage. And I do want you to get this mastery early on because you're going to be igniting as soon as you get this already. And for every enemy you ignite, you recover HP, which becomes an insane source of recovery. And you don't have to spam your life pot like an idiot. Super, super nice. Highly, highly recommend. And of course, your first tendency is Shaper of Flames. And of course, your leveling is going to be Fireball like this. You can go like an more Ignite version and use Fireball, Combustion, Volley, and like Elemental Proliferation. It adds no damage, just a higher chance to Ignite. And you have to wait till Act 4 to get Ignite Proliferation, which is the same as Elemental Proliferation, just has damage on it. Right? So you can see here Ignite Proliferation. Until then, you know, pick up all these skill gems like Added Fire is Act 2, Ignite Proliferation is 4, Burning is Act 3, Swift is Act 3, and Deadly is Act 2, right? So try to pick these up as soon as you can, start leveling with them as soon as you can, right? But you're going to be basically using a 4-link like this, and then once you get Penance Brand, it's going to be basically that. You know, Penance Brand, Ignite Prolif, maybe Added Fire, and then like Deadly or something like that. You could even use Combustion. Actually, no, Combustion, you rather link it something else because you have 100% chance to Ignite once you have the first Ascendancy here. So moving on to level 75, here I'm assuming you would have, you know, everything you needed. Luckily, since we're picking up Eldritch Battery right here, you don't need a Devouring Datum, which usually costs a lot of money early on because they're focusing more on that spell suppression and just trying to get a lot of, you know, stuff. And here, I do go for majority armor and evasion, just in case you want to scale Grace. But if you don't scale Grace at all, you can choose to go for armor and energy shield that get that, you know, life ES kind of hybrid build even higher. And it's up to you, kind of your play style. But basically here, you know, you're gonna regret you do go here. So basically what's happening is just connect from the top end down here, and then you can take these points out and you're kind of just chilling. So it's only like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point regret. It's not that big of a deal, right? You can see here you finally get the aura nodes. You can fit all the auras in. You know, you pick up the fire, Breath of Flames, the Breath of the Lightning, and the Lightning Mastery for the conversion. You can pick up Eldritch Battery once you have like 1,000 energy shield. The majority of your energy shield will come from like a Veiled mod here, where it says gain 10% of maximum life as extra energy shield. It's only forced you to craft. You can get somebody like on TFT or Harvest or maybe Global to help you craft it. Be wary of scammers, but if you have a shit chest piece, no one's gonna scam it anyway. Especially if it's not 6 linked. So yeah, it's pretty good. I highly recommend it. And And it pretty much gives you like over 1,000 energy shield and allows the build to work flawlessly for cheap. You know, you have Searing Haze for damage, you know, melding for even more ES, spell suppression, instinct, and gain that extra crit from spell suppression. Don't pick this mastery unless you have a lot of spell suppression on your gear, basically your helmet, your chest piece, if you get it there, boots, and your gloves, things like that, right? Radiant Blood, more ES on things. Snowforge is great because it gives them -5 res for the ignite, more damage, and more life and damage and dex and things like that. Right? Pretty much it. As for mastery, you're going to be picking up Shaper of Storms and pick up Mastermind of Discord. At this point, you should be using, you know, your little 4-socket link or 4-link here. We have Scorching Ray with Castle Channel, and then it'll cast Wave of Conviction and Combustion. So you get basically -25% or minus, what is it, 15 res. Combustion make another -10 res, which is -25. Plus the mastery will be -50, which is insane, right? It's really, really good and highly recommend it. And since brands work on their own, you can do that while the brand's doing its own thing. Right, so that's kind of like a cool little mechanic. And then at level 92, of course, you know, you pick up all your jewels, the Watcher's Eye if you have it, and the rest of the life nodes here. You know, you're gonna pick up Heart of the Flame, get the jewel, pick up Power of Purpose. You know, that's pretty much it. And then you get the last mastery, which is Heart of Destruction. That's pretty much a tree, right? As for gear, your normal ideal gear, before we go into the character and showcase how it works with shit gear, you basically want a scepter with elemental damage on it. You want to get fire damage over time multiplier, which you can craft, by the way. So if you go over here real quick, you know, if you go to fire damage over, if I can spell correctly, that multiplier, it's 4C on a two-handed, but on one-handed, it's like 20%. And it's pretty much, you know, it's not ideal. You rather like get one from the market because it can roll way higher. But yeah, so basically, there's a +1 cast speed and damage over time with a good base. But the cool thing about Penance brand is that you can go for like +1 physical spells as well, because Penance brand is also physical. So people might think, oh, fire damage over time multiplier with a physical or a lightning, and they might not think it's a good thing because it's kind of like opposite elements, and they might sell it for dirt cheap. So if you can find one, snipe the fuck out of it. You know, it's not fire plus fire; it's usually lightning and physical plus the fire damage over time. And make sure to get cast speed so it, you know, it gets those energies as quick as possible. Your shield. It doesn't have to be fossilized. Like, it doesn't have to be spell damage based because spell damage is nothing for ignite. You basically just want life, ES, and +1 to physical and or lightning. And yeah, if you get some cast speed on there, that'd be nice. Pretty much it. Try to get some energy shield to help you with Eldritch Battery. Your helmet, basically your helmet, your gloves. Yeah, your gloves and your boots are basically just life, res, and suppress. Your boots are going to be Adziri Step, which is basically life, res, a lot of energy shield. I mean, evasion, and a good amount of spell suppression, which is really, really nice. You can swap these if you get spell suppression on normal pair of boots with some life on it and res, but you know, these are probably be cheaper than any of those boots you could find out in the market, right? You can easily farm these just killing Adziri yourself. Pretty much it. And then the Vil mod you really want to get, you can just get this later once you unlock it, is attack and cast speed while focused. So you press focus, and for 4 seconds you have a fuck ton of cast speed, allows you to get ignites like max energy super fucking quick, pretty much. And then your chest piece, you know, life, res, armor, and energy shield. Ideally get a sailing chainmail and craft a 10% maximum life as extra energy shield mod. Your amulet, you basically want a lot of dex and strength. Just keep that in mind. I did not fix the strength here, so you're gonna have to find a fitter somewhere else. I'll have to fix that myself as well, right? But you basically want a +1 to lightning and or +1 lightning and or +1 spell, and it's global mods now, so it should be cheaper. You can get like fire damage, you can get lightning damage, that all that stuff works. Crit multi and stuff like that does not, so don't pick that up. And then life, you know, obviously. Rings, you basically want a life ring with Curse on Hit Flammability. You can just reroll his caster with Warlords. I believe it's still in the game, for the most part. You can definitely do that. Get whatever stats you need. Yeah. This might be the most expensive thing, but until then, you can definitely just put Hex Touch on something instead of a cast with damage taking. You put like Orber Storm's Hex Touch Flammability if, you know, you need be before this ring. It's not that big of a deal. Other rings, life and res. Belt, life and res, pretty much. You know, nothing crazy. Stygian Vise ideally. If you get a jewel, you can put like live damage over time holding a shield. You can put like dexterity, strength, res, whatever you need. Quicksilver with movement speed. Actually, I do not recommend doing this. I have increased effect on this. Please do not put increased effect on this. Right? Just have that, you know, increase charges, movement speed, or get gain charges when you get hit, whatever the case may be. Get a divine life pot, somewhat like instant, ideally with immunity to bleed. And Serious Promise. A diamond flask with crit chance and increased effect, so you get a massive amount of crit. Literally, this gives me 40% crit. And then a granite, you know, just to give you an extra like 8,000 free armor and that helps a lot with the Molten Shell. Going over your gems real quick. Right, you're going to get Penance Brand, Deadly Element, Swift Deflection, Burning, Ignite, Added Fire. And then, of course, swap anything with the Awakened version as you see fit here. The Awakened Fire would be insane because it gives you +1 supported physical skill gems, which basically is a stupid. It's probably one of the highest support gems for Penance Brand because it is a physical spell. Insane. Insane. And, you know, it's like there's Awakened Burning, Awakened Swift, Awakened Deadly, all that stuff. Helmet, like I said before, you're going to put your auras here. Determination, Defiance, Malevolence, Herald of Ash. You can take out Malevolence for Grace if you so choose. Gloves, Scorching Ray, Will, Conviction, Combustion, Cast while Channel. Boots, Second Wind, Brand Recall, Flame Dash, Molten Shell. Molten Shell is going to be on Walk. Keep that in mind. And then this is the test if we can maybe use Divine Blessing with Eldritch Battery. And then cast a damage taken, summons Lightning Golem for the cast speed, and Mortal Call. Pretty much it. Feel free to take out this if it doesn't work, or some of the thing for Curse on Hit, Hex Touch, like I said earlier, until you get that ring. And yes, pretty much it. Pantheon, kill all bandits, so you get 2 passive points, by the way. And Pantheon is Brine King and Shakari. So that's pretty much the league starter, you know, not to be anything crazy. So now let's like showcase like literally dog shit. This is my gear right here. Like this is just life, strength, like in chaos. This is basically what I use to kill fear in another build. Life and res, in the cast speed modifier, life and res. This has absolutely fuck all damage because spell damage and crit multi, and even the fucking the anointment doesn't do anything for the skill. The only thing it does is the 60% fire damage I crafted. This thing's not even the helmet we should be using. It adds a little bit of damage, but nothing crazy. This thing is good. 70% fire damage affected by Heart of Ash. You know, you can definitely add this to the build if you can somehow fit it in. You do need the strength anyway. So I highly recommend it if you could, you know, pick that up. And I'll probably update the POB with that just to see if it give you like a version of it. Maybe put a flammability on the tree and then put that there. I'll let you guys know. But pretty much that is a good damage here. And not even a +1 there. So I don't even have +1 here. And this thing doesn't even have +1 either. It's just... This is just 18% multi and 18% elemental. Because the spell damage and mana does fuck all. And that's pretty much it. You know? And then these 2 things are pretty good for the build. But nothing too crazy. And of course, I don't even have any jewels. Or, you know, or like Watcher's Eyes. I think the only jewel I have is this one, which is pretty good. Alright, so there's dog shit gear. Let's go ahead and do a, you know, pretty decent, you know, tier 12 ideally. That's a tier 13. I don't have a tier 12. Let's go here into our maps and, you know, hopefully pick something up. All right, so we have here a tier 12 Glacier that I had there. I love Glacier, so we'll do it. It's a bit sketch. Not gonna lie, we have no defenses. Maybe I should just add Determination to this, but whatever. And yeah, it has projectiles and Frenzy. Not fun. I don't have armor or block anyway, so who gives a fuck? Let's just run it. I just really like Glacier map. So, you know, keep in mind, if I do die, it's kind of like... Because I have no defenses, but it's more proof of the damage than the defenses. I'm pretty sure the defenses are going to be fine. You know, once you have all your auras up. All I have is fucking Herald of Ash. Holy mother of God. Lord have mercy on my soul. Alright, so because of the playstyle of the skill, you do not want to stand, like, right in front of it. Albeit you probably could, though, once you have all your, you know, your fucking auras and armor and shit, and spell suppression. I have no freeze immunity. Fuck it. Okay. Keep in mind, proof of concept. If you don't have the Pantheon that says cannot be frozen, get a freeze immune flask. Don't be me. Don't copy what I just did. Because that will happen to you as well. You know? There. And being as educational as possible by showing you through vicarious learning. Alright, so I'm never doing that again. But as you can see here, the cleave is actually pretty insane. This is literally dog shit, no awakened gems. I don't even know if my gems are like maxed out, actually. Level 19, level 19, level 19, level 20. My Penance brand is 21, but no quality. You know, just found it from my other character. So those gems are like, you know, they're not max 20 or corrupted or anything like that, but for the most part, they'll do you good. So the majority of the damage that we're missing is from jewels, the and gear, basically, is where it's at. You know, gear does make a big difference. And on top of that, we're missing all our auras. So the fact that we're clearing this fast with pretty much all that stuff missing on a tier 12 on Awakener 8, by the way. I'm not sure how the Awakener is gonna work next league with the Void Stones. I'm assuming maybe we're getting like 2 Awakener levels per Void Stone up to 8 when we get all 4, like in theory. kind of how it works. I do not recall reading upon that. They probably said it and I probably missed it, or probably just ignored it, but that's pretty much it. Let's try to get some, you know, flash charges here for the boss itself. I want to get a Sin's Rebirth last, but we'll get it from the goats. You can see we cleared that pretty easily. You know, there's a lot of stuff missing in there. Switch of powers that don't kill me. We're not going to be using switch of power early in the other game. I mean, on the main character. The reason I'm using it here is because this used to be an Archmage character, right? Let me not do anything. So as you can see here, I put Penance brand on. It needs to start glowing blue. You see how it turns blue? And then it either detonates on its own because it hits the timer on its own, or because that brand recalled it. You can detonate it by itself, and see, the damage is pretty good, considering all things equal. Just like that. So that's pretty good. So let's go ahead into the outro, and hopefully, you know, we covered the majority of your guys' questions. And with that, guys, I pretty much gave you a, you know, my league starter that I'm going to be playing. Of course, it's going to look a lot better than that once we get all the gear running, because I'm literally running bare minimum, like, bones on this character. And, you know, it's something different that's better than just a non-instant playstyle that everybody's running. And it's Ignite. Everybody likes, you know, if anybody likes damage over time, you know, attacks and slams are still really good. If you guys want to play that, I'm going to give you guys 3 league starters. We're gonna give you Rage Vortex, Wintertide Brand, and what's the other one? If I can recall, oh yes, Lancing Steel Skills. These are 3 characters I did play and I know are gonna work for you. So those are gonna come out very soon for you guys. So keep look out for that. But I want to give you my character first to give you something that's different than kind of what the meta's going around. So with that, guys, not to make this video too fucking long, you know, try to give you as much information how the build kind of works without the actual character being done. Just about POB numbers. And with that, if you guys have any questions, like I said before, you know, ask away. I'll do my best to answer them, you know, or you can ask my Discord to help you as well. And with that, hope you guys have a good league start, and please look forward to more videos coming your way soon.